冇，唔要發傻嘅，搶嘛，100蚊一支，100蚊10支，100蚊一支喎，你搶
10支又唔得。
得啦，梗係得啦。個個出晒飯搞咩？
早晨，冇錯，呢架係一架五艇，就係傳説中我都好耐冇揸過嘅五艇2號。五艇2號嘅打印機呢，就顯係雷射打印，所以唔會聽到51號嗰個機關槍嘅打印機
圈。
顯徑。 再前啲，入閘係嘛？ 有17蚊蝦仔。不過三媽呢架車都係會走個拖太歪嘅。唐太歪嘅。又考下你技術啦又。即係我話係啊，即係等你有個心理準備啊。上過鏡未啊？應該有啊，有上過鏡。睇過我 live 嘅，你都應該知道5、2號個車牌乜嘢。呢架車反而有少少力水。頭先上紅梅谷道都有啲速度。就冇咗個呼呼聲咯。仲有係鴛鴦倒後鏡咯，呢邊係細鏡，右邊係細鏡，左邊係大鏡。 咁啊 Tesla 你覺得點啊？係咪一踩就驚啊？唔好踩錯油門啊！好撚大鑊㗎。呢度有花市，係咪有花市啊？呢度佢都話我過線較弱，係啊，從來過線係要俾油㗎，唔好等到啲車上嚟包抄你啊，咁你又過唔到線㗎啦。排人頭月，見到佢喺個塊鏡，你先至開始諗返原本嗰條線啊。 喺新手操車之餘，我都係喺巴士入邊都係算新手。我聽日都會操新線。
風盛遠都唔該。
三妹同前車距離，第一發覺前車開始近你，即係代表即係要諗緊辦法要超車。咁望一望嗰條線後邊仲係好遠，就要決定俾唔俾油過去，可以快少少過咗前車再 cut 翻原線。如果唔想重揸咁快，你通常冇得抽就唔記得俾油，咁就好易原先後車未到就撞埋嚟埋係。 啱啊，係啊 ，Uncle 講得啱啊，係要快，即係要俾油㗎，唔係真係唔係講少㗎。我成日都同啲新手講，你一望空隔離左右冇車，得你一架車，你真係要試下地板油，睇下嗰架車咩滋味。隔離周圍冇車，前面冇車，左右冇車，康莊大道，你一定要試下地板油，睇下嗰架車咩性能。呢個冇號死，你想死啊？ 我呢度要遮住一樣好重要嘅嘢。至於係咩嘢咧，我就唔好講啦，費事教精嗰啲人。和斜好。師兄，我免費車你啦，我都揸九巴㗎。
你揸九巴？
嗱，我都有呢個 app 㗎。
你咁勤力嘅？冇，你做生意。
不過我團廠嘅，我唔係沙廠。
屯門廠啊？
係啊。
我以前都係屯門廠。
係嘛？
咁你點樣啊？你收工之後再揸？
我今日放假。
我放假先揸。
係啊。
咁勤力嘅，你玩嘅啫係嘛？
梗唔係啦，踩數啊！聽日我操新線。
我聽日操新線。
不過翻天水圍廠。
點解咁樣玩你嘅？
唔係，我唔係啊！我住喺錦田嗰邊嘅。所以翻宏利廠同埋天水圍廠。
我以前都係翻屯門廠㗎，我搬咗嚟沙田先轉翻過嚟沙田廠啫。
哦。
我以前住喺三聖村咯。
哦。
翻咗調咗幾年啦。
啱啱做咗1年啦，喺九巴。
其實而家幾好，唔錯啦，我覺得。
即係唔係？
工又幾好。
即係因為的士太靜啦，呢啲時間，所以我1年前走咗入去九巴度做。
你以前都係揸的士，做的士嘅。
我之前做 IT 嘅。
IT 嘅。
係啊，跟住就出咗嚟揸下的士咯。
揸巴士好過揸的士，你覺唔覺得係啊？
巴士唔使揾客啊嘛，唔使諗去邊度揾客啊嘛。
係啊！我揸過2日的士，揸過3個的士。我自己，如果我自己控制啲時間咧，我就好懶嘅，我就揾唔到食嘅，我就好懶嘅。陣間食個早餐，陣間落去食啲煙，陣間又呢啲搞呢啲搞。都係嘅。咁但係揸下巴士孭住100幾人，個壓力係啊。又冇乜壓力啫，其實。不過你啱做嗰陣時有啲壓力嘅，少壓力啦，又唔係咩啫，都係自己揸嘅啫，人多人少。咁我又唔知揸的士 又點樣啊？我又唔好知，我揸3日，揸個3日。
即係如果夜間嚟講，夜間的士係差過夜間巴士嘅，我可以話俾你聽。即係正水
揸巴士我又覺得，因為依家就 OK 喎，依家。我好似有今個月咁樣啦，我放咗7日大假，請1日病假。咁啊個補水都唔知5仔咁上下，咁都出到29,000幾喎。
咁啊 OK 喎。我呢期我都係補1兩仔嘅啫。29,000我放咗幾日假，7日8日，1日病假，8日4日例假，放咗10幾日假。同埋我係時薪嚟嘅，我唔係月薪嘅。咁今個月有雙糧出，有幾過癮啊！係啊，我就係有嗰個咩年薪咯，有新年假。阿星喺前面嗰個運動場嗰度落得㗎啦。好啦，我真係免費車你㗎。冇，我真係免費，你攞，你捐咗佢啊！捐咗佢，收咗啦！你收順啲啊！捐咗佢，收30蚊咯。好，做嘢啊嘛，唔好。睇下先，我又張50蚊紙。好，唔該晒 ，thank you。好。喂，你俾翻100蚊我，你俾翻100蚊我啊嘛？唔係，冇呃我啊，冇呃我。好，拜拜。好，拜拜。暫停一停個 live 先，我想 cap 翻呢條片出嚟。九巴佬車過九巴佬。
A giant aircraft stands on the tarmac at Marseille in France. It's been taken over by hijackers who are preparing the worst terrorist atrocity the world has so far seen. The men are heavily armed and carrying powerful explosives. The French Prime Minister faces a terrible dilemma. Storm the plane, lose 173 passengers and crew. But let it take off, and there'll be an even bigger price to pay. This will become a blueprint for defeating a terrorist hijacking. With eyewitness testimony and video recordings, this is the inside story of the hijacking the world forgot. It's Christmas Eve 1994. An Air France jet is on final approach to Algiers airport. It's the early morning flight from Paris to this former French colony on the north coast of Africa. The plane is an Airbus A300 with a crew of 12 on board.
3 greens.
This is no ordinary landing. Algeria is in a state of civil war. The area around the airport has been the scene of fierce fighting. There's a very real threat of missiles being fired at the plane as it comes in to land.
The flights to Algiers are only done by volunteers because of the terrorist threat. We're all aware of it. We accept the risk.
So dangerous is it that Air France, the French state airline, has asked its government if it really needs to continue these flights to Algiers. So far, there's been no reply.
100 feet. 50 feet. 20 feet. We got first engage.
The captain of Air France Flight 8969 is Bernard Delem, a highly experienced pilot. This is his first ever television interview. The events are still so threatening to him that he'll only appear in silhouette.
There were some security measures, like on any other flight, and a few extra ones since we were in Algiers. But at my level, I had no qualms about flying there. Even now, 10 years later, I can still say that I like doing in Algiers.
The plane will only be on the ground for the short time it takes to clean, refuel, and board the passengers for the return flight. They're mostly Algerians, but many are French, escaping for a while the perils of life in Algeria. 3 years earlier, Islamic fundamentalists had won the elections there, hoping to install an Islamic state. But then the military seized power and imprisoned their leaders. Since then, Algeria has descended into chaos.
Like every other year, I decided to come and spend the holidays in France, and I had a cousin with me. I was chief stewardess at Air Algeria, and I wouldn't take any other flight but Air Algeria normally. But when I arrived at the airport, there were no seats left. The flight was full. But an Air France booking agent suggested that I take the Air France flight. So I did. At least I'd be certain of taking off.
Boarding is nearly over, but then, another sign of the fraught security situation, police board the plane for one more check.
Presidential police. You two take the rear. Police, nobody move, please. Presidential police, we're carrying out an identity check. All right. No, you stay here, we'll handle it.
It'd be best if I made an announcement.
Okay, go ahead.
Ladies and gentlemen, good day. This is your captain speaking. There will be a short delay while the police will come to their cabin to carry out a passport check. Please remain seated. We apologize for the inconvenience. We should be on our way shortly.
Passport. Passport.
When they came towards us, they were armed. And that's really unusual.
Passports, please.
This unauthorized delay to Flight 8969 is making the military suspicious. Algerian special forces, known as the Ninjas, are already heading towards the plane.
I looked outside and I could see the ninjas out there. The Algerian special forces. I said to myself, why are there so many of them? Tarut means infidels. And when he said that, I knew straight away that they were terrorists. There it was.
All of you, get to the back! Hurry! Shut that voice of Satan! Sit down! You two, don't move! Nobody move! We are not the police. We are Mujahideen.
The men are not police, but terrorists. They belong to a violent group of Muslim extremists. They aim to force an Islamic State on Algeria no matter what it takes. And seizing the plane is part of that plan.
When that happened, it was like a rock falling. Like lead. I don't know which. It was horrifying.
Look at this! This is a very powerful bomb! There are others just like it! Ready for a great fireworks show in the sky! We are the Mujahideen of the people! God has chosen us to die, and you to die with us!
The leader, 25-year-old Abdullah Yahya, is a notorious killer.
There is nothing to fear! God awaits us all in his heavenly paradise.
Outside, news spreads quickly, and reporters arrive at the scene. In Paris, the French Prime Minister is urgently recalled from his Christmas holiday. It's an international crisis.
I spent the whole afternoon on the phone trying to find out exactly what was going on. It was pretty confused. The Algerian authorities were determined to get tough, and it was difficult to discuss the problem with them.
Give me your jacket, Captain.
Back in Algiers, the terrorists decide to put on the flight crew's uniforms to confuse any army snipers. Meanwhile, in the cabin, one of the terrorists is not happy with what he sees.
Cover your head. Cover your head more. You too.
Their Islamic customs were not being respected. Men and women sharing the same toilets, sitting next to each other. And above all, women with their heads uncovered. That was intolerable for Lotfi, and it threw him into a rage. Lotfi's character is very peculiar. We called him the madman because really he was always on a knife edge. He had fits of rage. He was always on the brink of fury. What he saw there in the cabin was intolerable for him. He had to cover these women up.
Now, 2 hours into the hijacking, the terrorists want to talk to the Algerian military.
You in the tower. We have taken control of this Air France flight. We are the armed Islamic group. Do you hear me? Do you understand? Do you hear me? What is wrong with this thing? They don't hear me.
They couldn't hear you because you both talked at the same time. You have to start again.
You tell them. Do it.
Air France 8969. What do you want me to say?
The terrorists order Captain Lam to take off for Paris. They say they're going to hold a press conference there. But the plane can't move. The passenger boarding stairs are still attached, and the Algerian authorities have parked vehicles to block the runways.
Air France 8969. The passenger boarding stairs are still in place. Please remove them immediately.
They meet with a blank refusal. Things are starting to go wrong for the hijackers. The Algerian strategy is not to give way on a single point, but it's a dangerous policy, as they are soon to find out.
We are going to blow up the wall! We are going to blow up the plane and everyone in it! Do you hear me? Do you hear me?
Armed terrorists have hijacked an Air France jet at Algiers airport. They want to leave for Paris, but the government won't let them. It's a stalemate, for the moment.
I'll say it one more time. Please remove the boarding stairs so that we can leave for Paris.
You think we are joking? We will show you how we are joking. We are soldiers of God. We are ready to die. We will show them.
The terrorists are about to send a message to the Algerian government. During the passport check, they've identified among the passengers an officer of the Algerian police.
Then 2 rows behind me, there was a policeman.
Can you come with us, please? We need your help.
He asked the policeman to follow him. It's crazy, I don't know if he knew. But he was very hesitant. He was walking, but reluctantly, because he didn't know what was going to happen to him.
Open the door, please. So please take our message to the government.
Passengers are aware of the murder, nor are the pilots.
The first contact we were allowed with the cabin was when a stewardess was allowed into the cockpit to see if we wanted anything. I said, we'd like a glass of water, because it was hard to swallow, as you can imagine. Our throats were very dry. Just then, she whispered to me, they've already killed a passenger. I was dumbfounded because we had no idea. We'd heard nothing.
But the passengers are growing more concerned about what's going on outside. There are signs that the Algerian special forces are preparing for an armed assault.
The biggest worry that we all had was that the ninjas, the Algerian special forces, would attack the plane. Things were going on inside the plane, sure, but anything that would come from the outside would upset things, and that scared us.
As French Interior Minister at the time, Charles Pasqua knows exactly how the ninjas operate.
They were trained by us. We were taking a considerable risk by letting this plane stay in Algiers. Because we knew that although the Algerian forces were perfectly capable of ending the siege, it would have ended in a bloodbath.
The Algerian military maintain their hard line, so the terrorists are about to raise the stakes again. Another passenger must die.
When they came for the second passenger, we knew things were going wrong. This passenger, he was different. He was Vietnamese, a diplomat. He was the real foreigner on this plane. This passenger was not cowed by their terror, and that must have bothered them.
The Vietnamese diplomat believes that as an outsider, he's being released.
The stewardess went back to the cabin and came back with a bottle of water and some glasses. She served us and whispered, "It's not one now, it's two." Immediately, I realized that we had really hit the jackpot.
As the hours go by, the crew and passengers begin to recognize the different personalities of the four men.
To make things simpler, we gave them names. Yaya gave us his name straight away, so that was easy. He was in charge. He looked a little bit like a student. He was friendly enough, very calm, except when he flew into a rage, and then he would act like a gangster. Lotfi, the madman, was the one who insisted we follow their laws, the one who was the most fanatic, the most fundamentalist. He'd already been in prison and been tortured. He had a hatred of the government, and he had a very short fuse. He was the dangerous one, the real psychopath. The third one didn't have a name. We called him Bill. He was a little bit simple. You wondered what he was doing there, and you could see him wondering the same thing. It was an error in casting. He was more of a goat herd than a terrorist. Then, finally, there was the killer. It was he who did the shooting, and who cleaned his gun afterwards without any remorse or feeling. I wonder if he knew what he was doing.
The killer in the group is becoming increasingly bizarre.
The tallest one, the killer. When we passed each other on the plane, he would take me by the neck and kiss me on the forehead. And later on, the meaning of this was more or less confirmed to me. People told me that this could be seen as the kiss of death.
Finally, Morin plucks up enough courage to voice his fears.
Can I say something? I want to ask you a favor. If you decide to kill me, I want you to promise me that I don't want to be killed by a bullet in the back, because when I die, I want to be able to see your face.
What are you afraid of?
Well, it's impossible not to be afraid with what's going on the plane.
Don't need to worry. Because if I kill you, you will be a martyr. You will go straight to paradise.
I can tell you that it didn't make me feel any better.
In Algiers, it's stalemate. Neither side is giving way. In Paris, the French leaders are frustrated. They believe their own special forces could bring the hijacking to a safe end. But the Algerians refuse to let foreign troops in to sort out an Algerian problem.
I asked the Algerian authorities extremely forcefully and urgently to let the plane take off, because I considered that it was a French plane belonging to Air France, which, although it had on board a majority of Algerians, had dozens of French there too. So it was for us to solve the problem.
Night falls. Air France Flight 8969 is pinned down by spotlights. The passengers have now been held hostage for 7 hours. Initial panic has given way to a tense calm. Few realize that 2 passengers have been murdered. The crew is working hard to defuse the situation.
All these buttons, like here, for instance, it's the APU, auxiliary power unit. The
role of a crew in these conditions is to keep things calm, to earn trust, to keep things going, which is very important. At the start of hostage-taking, it's always violent. You have to buy time, to calm people, to show what you're like, to find out who they are, and so on. And then try to gain their trust.
Ça va jusqu'à la conversion de deux.
There was the conversion to Islam of 2 stewardesses, of whom I was one.
De non-respect vis-à-vis des gens qui croient.
It was a request from the terrorists. I don't have any disrespect for believers, but if it could help calm the terrorists down, then I didn't have any problem faking a conversion.
Ça ne me posait pas de problème moral.
We are going to blow up the world! We are going to blow up the plane and everyone in it! Do you hear me? Do you hear me?
Through the night, the threats and ultimatums continue. But the Algerian government will not give in. It's a battle of wills.
At one point it was quite calm. I made a tour of the cabin about 2 in the morning. There were 2 of them lying on the floor, between door 1 left and door 1 right. I thought, look, 2 of them are asleep, one's at the rear, there's only one in the cockpit. If an assault took place now, maybe it wouldn't be so bad. But that's as far as it went.
After a restless night, the passengers wake up. It's Christmas morning.
It was a marvelous gesture. There was one person we called Father Christmas because he said, "You've worked hard enough, now it's my turn." And he took round all the bottles of water and glasses to the passengers. The passengers joined in. That's to say, they tried to eat something, to do normal things, to make the atmosphere a little bit more normal and a little less stressful than it really was. It was the waiting, because in reality, we could do nothing but wait.
During the night, the French government has decided to send its special forces to the island of Majorca, as close to Algeria as possible, without being accused of interfering. Colonel Denis Favier was then a major in charge of the French counter-terrorist unit, the GIGN. Since the hijacking, it's feared that terrorists have put a price on his head, and he doesn't want his face to be seen.
The decision was taken to send GIGN to Majorca. An Air France aircraft was put at our disposal, identical in every respect to the hijacked aircraft, as well as an experienced crew who knew the technical side, all the details of the plane.
En route to Majorca, Major Favier's men have familiarized themselves with every detail of the A300 Airbus, in the expectation that they will get the chance to attack the plane. Back in Algiers, the terrorists release some passengers, mainly women with young children or people with serious medical conditions. But there are still over 170 people on board, a handful for the 4 young terrorists. And the passengers are not who they thought they would be.
I don't know how the terrorists organized their business. They certainly put a lot of thought into it. They obviously wanted to seize a symbol of France, and Air France is a national symbol. But perhaps they didn't realize that in an Air France plane at Algiers, most of the passengers would be Algerians.
138 of the passengers are Algerian citizens. The terrorists offer to release them, leaving only the French nationals on board. A gruesome indication, perhaps, of their final plan. However, the Algerian passengers refuse to leave.
It's true that in Algiers they were going to free some of the passengers, and they refused to get off. I think that one of them said, if we leave, then afterwards they're going to kill the crew, so I'm going to stay. I think that this man was sincere. I can't explain it, but it was the truth.
The Algerian government has another trick up its sleeve. They've managed to identify the terrorist leader, Yahya, and bring his mother to the microphone to try to weaken her son's resolve.
Ma! Ma! I love you
Algerian government's tactic misfires. It sends Yahya into a boiling rage.
They went and got my mother. Can you imagine that? My mother! They went and dragged my mother over here! How many French are back there?
One man and a woman.
Go get the man. What do they think they're playing at? What do they think they're doing?
He was furious. He had no intention of changing his mind. Even the love of his mother, even his mother couldn't do anything.
Until now, the terrorists haven't targeted any French citizens. But their time has come. 2 staff members of the French embassy are on board, a secretary and a young chef.
Okay, now we will teach you how to play games with us. Are you listening to me? You tell them that if they don't let the plane take off, we will kill every single passenger one by one. Tell them.
My name is Yannick Beunier. I work at the embassy. They're threatening to kill us. If you do nothing, they'll start the executions.
You've got to do something, and quickly. Quick as you can.
We care nothing for you. We are soldiers of God. We'll kill him and we'll throw him outside the door. You can come and pick him up.
Get me a magazine.
He was terrified, Yannick. He was looking at me, but he was terrified.
Take a calendar.
Was he pleading with me to help him? Was he?
You two, we better off going back to your places. Go!
I was saying to myself, no, it's not possible. It can't happen like this. It's not possible.
The door-open warning light confirms that the terrorists have carried out their threat.
Air France 8969.
You happy now? See what you get when you play tough.
On a assisté à distance. We witnessed at a distance the execution of this man.
C'est quelque chose qui a été qu'on avait vécu.
It was something we lived through with great emotion in Paris, because we were patched into the conversations between the plane and the control tower.
The French government can no longer stand by and do nothing. Prime Minister Balladur gets on the phone and threatens his Algerian counterpart.
I told him that I would hold the Algerian government responsible for what happened and make it known to international opinion.
Balladur's threat works. The Algerian president caves in. Finally, after 39 hours of terror, Flight 8969 can leave for France.
Just then, there it was. We could leave. In the plane, there was a joy you could not imagine. And really, this impression that that was it. We'd succeeded. We had all succeeded and we were going to be saved. We were leaving Algiers.
But there's a problem. All the time they've been on the ground, the captain has kept the auxiliary power unit running. It's a small jet engine in the tail of the plane which keeps the power supply going. It uses around 4 tons of fuel a day. Now there isn't enough to reach Paris. Only Marseille on the southern coast of France.
Navigation lights. On. Air conditioning packs.
Flight 8969 prepares to take off. The crew are relieved to be going home. Both they and the passengers believe that whatever the future holds, it can't be as bad as what they're leaving behind. They don't realize the horror that awaits them. After 2 days of terror and the death of 3 passengers, the Algerian authorities are allowing Flight 8969 to leave for France. The terrorists say they're going to hold a press conference there.
Before takeoff checklist completed.
But Captain Lam wants an urgent word with the terrorist leader.
What is it? What's wrong?
Look, since the start of this whole thing, I followed your instructions. You want to get to Paris to talk to the journalists. I'll take you there. But I want to know if you're going to blow up the plane between Algiers and Marseille.
Why do you ask if I'm going to blow up the plane?
Because the responsibility for these passengers is on my shoulders.
No, there's nothing to worry about for you or the passengers. We fly to Marseille, like you said, refuel the tanks, and then we go to Paris. I give you my word.
All right.
Good. Let's go.
Me, I believed them when they told me that the plane would not be blown up between Algiers and Marseille. I don't know if they would have given me the same answer between Marseille and Paris. When someone's got explosives, they're not for making a birthday cake.
We have two terrorists strapped in their seats in the cockpit, and they're so excited. They're like kids, excited, happy. What's more, they'd succeeded.
At 3:30 in the morning on the 26th of December, the plane approaches Marseille airport. They're unaware that Major Denis Favier and his French special forces have got there ahead of them from Mallorca and are now planning a showdown.
Normally you arrive on ground that's held by the enemy, but here it's the enemy who's going to arrive on ground where you are in total control. And that's a key element in the success of the operation.
50 feet. 20 feet.
For the terrorists, it's the magic moment. We are landing in France. We'll get fuel. We'll get provisions to take off again and go to Paris, because that's the objective. The airport is very dark. There are the lights of the plane and the little car, the follow-me car, which we follow, and we do not go to the terminal.
The plane is being deliberately led away to a remote corner of the airfield. Tension is very high because the French government has received some alarming news.
While the plane was flying towards France, we received other information, according to which the terrorists plan to use the plane to carry out an attack on Paris. The information was credible, and we took it seriously. So the decision was made that no matter what, the plane would not take off from Marseille. No matter how high the price may be, the plane would not take off. We picked a very precise spot for the plane to park, and then we just played for time.
The French tactics will now be dictated by Major Favier. His plan is to wear the terrorists down. Whilst always appearing conciliatory, the French will spin out negotiations as long as possible. They know that Yahya and his men must be tired. The hijacking has now gone on for almost 2 days.
Air France 8969, we require immediate refueling.
27 tons!
27 tons.
The terrorists have learned from the flight crew that 27 tons of fuel will fill the tanks, far more than the 9 tons needed for the journey to Paris. It appears to confirm the intelligence report that the plane is to be used as a firebomb.
They say it's not possible because of the killings, because of what happened in Algiers. It's in all the papers. The workers who do the refueling are afraid. They won't come near the plane.
Tell them we want to go now. We'll do a press conference in Paris.
Air France 8969, they want to leave for Paris right away. They wish to hold a press conference in Paris. You say, why go to Paris while all the international press has come here to Marseille? They're all here. Why do a press conference in Paris? There's no point. We can do it here on the plane.
Major Favier has baited the hook. Will Yahya bite?
Tell them we want CNN. Tell them we want CNN.
Air France 8969, they want to speak to CNN.
The terrorists agree to a press conference aboard the plane, little realizing that it's all part of a clever plan.
Tactically, this press conference was important because it enabled us to get some of the passengers moved to the rear of the plane.
The negotiators asked that the front of the plane be cleared for the press conference. The real reason is to create a clear area for the French special forces when they storm the plane. Because what the terrorists don't realize is that the plane's doors can be opened from the outside.
Are they coming?
No, not yet.
By now, the plane has been sitting on Marseille's taxiway for 12 hours. The French special forces know how many terrorists there are and where they are. It's believed the French special forces planted microphones on the fuselage of the plane. Now they're waiting for the sun to go down to take advantage of the dark. On the plane, they know nothing of this. They're still waiting for the press to arrive.
Tower 8969. Everything's ready here. You can send the press now. What do you mean they're not ready?
No.
You said they were ready over an hour ago and you were going to get them. Come on, there's not much time left. There must be hundreds of journalists there. This will be the biggest scoop of their careers.
They're up to something. We can't stay here.
I assure you, it's...
Captain, move the plane over there.
I promise you, we'll be...
Captain, move it right now. Do it. Move the plane over there where the other ones are.
We'll be fine. I promise.
Move the planes. Go over there where the other ones are. Do it! Do it!
Let's go. Start engines.
Suddenly, all Colonel Favier's plans are in disarray. Yahya, the terrorist leader, now has the initiative.
Tactically for us, the situation was very bad. Our positions were based on the plane being parked at point A, and all of a sudden it's at point B. So we have to reorganize very quickly.
Captain Lam is forced to park right at the foot of the tower, close to the terminal and other flights. If they blow up the plane now, the casualties could be enormous.
Tell them it's too late now! There won't be a press conference. It's too late. It should have been done. Tell them to fill the tanks. We're leaving. They have until 5 o'clock. At 5 o'clock, we're taking off. Tell them, Captain, do it. I've had it. Do it.
Air France 8969.
Major Favier is having his men picked up as fast as possible to move to new positions. He puts snipers on the terminal roof, where they'll have a view of the cockpit. He only has a few minutes to set up his emergency plan, a cavalry charge of passenger boarding stairs.
3 air stairs and 30 men. This is the plan. Penetrate by the 2 rear doors, with 2 teams of 11 men each at the rear right and rear left doors, and then a penetration by a smaller team of 8 men at the front right door to gain control of the cockpit, since we know that the terrorist leader is in the cockpit. Our intention is to cut off the cockpit from the rest of the plane.
By 5 o'clock, no fuel has been delivered. The authorities have no intention of allowing the plane to take off.
5 o'clock comes round, and there, it's the moment when Yahya has to do something.
Yahya enters the cabin to choose his 4th victim, but he seems reluctant.
He chooses a member of the crew, the youngest, the most foreign, who had made the mistake of telling him he was an atheist.
I don't want to do this. But I got no choice.
I don't know what was going on in Yahya's head, and we never will. I don't know if he changed his mind, but he kept putting off this execution. So instead of that, he fired on everything around.
The hijackers know they are in the endgame.
But then they discovered there was a public address and they started reciting verses from the Quran. It was very difficult because it was the prayers for the dead. We had to prepare ourselves for death. We were going to die as martyrs. God was waiting for us. There was silence, and all of a sudden it was a state of panic.
The terrorists know the French negotiators are in the control tower. They decide to send them a message.
One of the terrorists opened the side window of the cockpit and hosed down the control tower. The glass shattered all around us. We were literally machine-gunned.
Since we had landed in Marseille, there had been some moments of tension, but nothing like what seemed to be about to happen.
Comme ça avait l'air de se présenter.
We're gonna succeed in our mission, Captain. Don't worry about that.
Major Favier has been given carte blanche by the French Prime Minister Edouard Balladur. He decides the moment has come to act.
When the terrorists started firing with an automatic weapon on the tower, there was danger inside the plane, so we now had justification for an armed attack. That attack was carried out from the air stairs, which are mobile vehicles.
They're coming! The Daru are coming!
At that moment, everybody understood, them and us, that it was the beginning of the assault.
The cavalry charge is underway. This is actual footage of the attack.
There are 8 of us on the front right air stair. The first air stair gets to the aircraft. There's a small problem with the height, as it was a little bit higher than the door. The door hits the top of the air stair. A slight step back. The door opens. The air stair touches the plane, and the group goes in.
Then it's the apocalypse.
And then the group that has gone in comes under a deluge of fire from the terrorists who shoot at everyone who enters, an extremely murderous fire. There's not a moment's doubt about the nature of this gunfire. They are shooting to kill.
At the rear of the plane, the other 2 squads of Favier's men enter.
So I hear, hands on your head, don't move, hide, get down as low as you can. I just wished to escape. The situation we were in was extremely violent, so I pulled the overcoat I had over my head so I wouldn't see the tracer bullets whizzing past, nor what was going on around.
Hundreds of bullets are whistling through the cabin. Grenades are exploding. There's smoke and confusion everywhere.
I was in a rather bad spot, so I tried to make myself as small as possible. You stop breathing, and you imagine that you're hard enough to stop the bullets.
The snipers on the terminal roof can see the terrorists in the cockpit, but frustratingly can't get a clear shot. The co-pilot is blocking their view. But that problem is about to be solved. Actual video footage shows the co-pilot, Jean-Paul Borderie, falling onto the hard concrete. Yet he still manages to stagger away to safety. It gives the snipers the chance they've been waiting for. At the rear of the cabin, the French Special Forces is evacuating the passengers through a hail of gunfire. But cabin steward Christophe Morin finds himself unable to escape.
I tried to take with me a woman, a passenger who had been sitting next to me, but she was too fat, she could not come. So we just held hands.
Unbelievably, only a few minutes after the assault began, most of the passengers have been rescued. By now, only one terrorist is left alive, but he's going down fighting.
There was only the flight engineer and me left in the cockpit. We looked at each other, and there's just this one terrorist. He looks at us, one after the other. His 3 colleagues are here, dead or nearly so. Out of spite, he could have killed both of us. He didn't. What more can I say?
I think that after 54 hours, there is mutual recognition and respect, quote-unquote, between the terrorists and the hostages. Yes, bonds were created in this drama. And I think these bonds were activated, and that they perhaps contributed to saving the lives of some members of the crew.
The French news footage captures amazing scenes of the battle. A GIGN man is blasted out of the plane by gunshots. The final surviving terrorist holds them at bay for almost 20 minutes, but his time and his ammunition are running out.
The flight engineer and I looked at each other. We knew exactly the situation we were in. As long as there were gunshots, we knew we could die. But once it stopped, or when we thought it had stopped, then we said, all right, it's over.
But it's not over yet for the captain and his flight engineer. The GIGN are not sure who are the terrorists and how many are still alive. Everyone is suspect. The battle around the cockpit has been so fierce that everyone believes the flight crew are dead. The French special forces suspect that any survivors may be terrorists in disguise. The flight engineer is hustled off the plane and handcuffed.
Get up! Hands on your head.
I'm the captain of the plane. I will get out. Not with my hands on my head.
I would never have left the cockpit with my hands on my head. After all I have been through, I would not be punished like a child.
When we saw Bernard and Alain come out, we couldn't believe it. Alain was handcuffed and his shirt was covered in blood. He said, I'm deaf, I'm deaf. But we said, yes, but you're alive. We told them, he's our flight engineer, let him go. It was incredible.
For 20 minutes, the gun battle has raged on board the crowded aircraft. Hundreds of shots have been fired, numerous grenades exploded. Yet all 173 passengers and crew have survived. Captain Lam himself escaped with bullet wounds to his right elbow and thigh.
The crew had a specific responsibility, the duty to save the hostages and to safeguard the plane. The crew in general and the captain in particular, they all rose to the occasion.
9 of the 30 GIGN men have been wounded, 1 seriously.
When I assessed the gravity of the GIGN men's injuries, and when we learned that none were fatal, then yes, I could consider that the operation overall had been a success.
Out of the 161 passengers who survived the hijacking, only a few have suffered slight injuries. A huge relief to the French Prime Minister.
I cannot say that I was calm that day, but I considered that there was no other decision to be made than the one I took. So the only thing that was left for me was to hope that things would unfold well. And as a matter of fact, they unfolded exceptionally well. I would not have dreamed that they would go that well.
All the French special forces and the crew members received high national honors for their courage.
For a long time, I kept seeing the faces of the 3 dead passengers that I couldn't save. Then, when the time of the medals came, I realized that I had helped save 170 people. It's a lot more gratifying, and it allowed me to mourn and get over it. I don't wear the medal, but I'm proud of having it, and I consider that we deserved it. We only did what we were supposed to. Our job.
It was a textbook mission, one of the most successful anti-terrorist operations ever carried out. But the traumatic experience will never leave the survivors. Zahida Kakachi, the passenger, could not stay in Algeria. She became so anxious about her safety, she emigrated to France. Stewardess Claude Dorniard was thanked by Air France, but never worked for them again. Christophe Morin suffered the same fate. Since this horrific experience, his outlook on life has changed radically. He now works for a charitable organization. Captain Lam eventually returned to flying duties. After a further 9 years of service, he's recently retired from Air France. Later, a former leader of the Algerian terrorist groups, Omar Chiki, confirmed that the plan had been to blow up the plane over the Eiffel Tower, a symbol of the French nation. Hundreds might have been killed when the plane crashed down onto the crowded streets of Paris. They never tried again, and the world would forget this hijacking. Until 7 years later.
I went to do some shopping and I bumped into a friend who said a plane has crashed into the World Trade Center. I went home and stayed sitting in front of the television for 24 hours. I couldn't move or eat or do anything. All those images came back to me, and I asked myself, is that what was supposed to happen to us?
J'étais convaincu du fait
I was convinced that the terrorists wanted to crash the plane over Paris. To them, it would have been a great feat. Crashing a plane on the Eiffel Tower or the Élysée Palace would be an extraordinary feat.
Above all, I kept thinking, we had apprentice terrorists, boys who didn't understand very well what they were doing. But voila, they taught everyone a lesson.
前面個老師傅冇轉數快嘛，個客咪轉數俾我，我就俾翻 cash 俾前面嗰個司機咯。
Over Germany, the middle of the night.
Where is it?
A Russian plane is taking children on holiday to Spain, but the pilots can't believe what they see heading towards them.
Get on the left!
Increase climb.
Climb, he said!
Poignant air disasters of recent times. How could two planes collide over one of the most closely regulated areas in the world?
Bravo Tango Charlie.
Faulty technology or human error? June 2002. The city of Ufa in western Russia. Ufa is populated by both Christians and Muslims. This year, its most outstanding teenagers have been chosen to go on a 2-week vacation organized by UNESCO near Barcelona in Spain. They are among the most clever, athletic or artistic children of Ufa. Kirill Diktaryov is a 14-year-old prodigy. He's been painting since he was 4 years old and has already had 2 public exhibitions. He's halfway through his new work.
He was very good at painting. He felt colors. He received good reviews. The trip sounded very exciting. That's why we agreed that Kirill should go to Spain. He just graduated from grade 9. He needed some rest, and it was a good opportunity for a summer holiday.
Alina Hananova is a 12-year-old who's won several gymnastics competitions.
We were very glad for her because indeed very smart and very talented children were flying there. All extraordinary children in terms of their personalities. She studied very well, and she got only excellent marks. I remember that she was pleased to go on the trip. She loved getting ready for it. She was so excited. We purchased some clothes and some vacation stuff. As she was born, I informed my husband, and he cried because he was happy to have a daughter.
The 46 children from Ufa, accompanied by a few teachers, leave on a train to Moscow. There, they're due to catch their flight to Barcelona. But in Moscow, things start to go wrong. The tourist agency accidentally takes the children to the wrong airport, so they miss their plane. They're terribly disappointed. While the agency tries to sort out the mess, the children go sightseeing in the Russian capital. It takes 2 days to charter another jet, but finally they're on their way to Barcelona. On July the 1st, 2002, the children from Ufa board their plane at a Moscow airport. The Kaloyevs are not part of the school group. They're going on a holiday to meet their father, who's an architect, and is finishing a project near Barcelona. No fewer than 5 Russians are flying this plane. The captain is Alexander Gross, who's been a pilot for over 30 years.
Alexander had a good theoretical knowledge. He was very smart.
Today, the first officer is Oleg Grigoriev. But actually, Grigoriev is the airline's chief pilot. On this trip, he'll be evaluating Captain Gross's flying.
If you did something wrong, some captains would criticize you very rudely. Others would be very formal and polite. But Oleg Grigoriev would express his disapproval in a gesture. Like that. Meaning, why on earth did you do that?
Captain Gross is in command, but Captain Grigoriev is his supervisor. If it comes to the crunch, who will really be in charge? Seated in the left rear is Murat Idkilov, normally the first officer, but who's not officially on duty because Grigoriev is in his seat. Nevertheless, since he'll soon be promoted to captain, his opinions are considered.
Murat был профессионален как пилот. Любил летать.
Murat was a very professional pilot. He loved to fly. Murat was interested in the new stuff in aviation and always kept up to date on the most progressive things brought in.
Also on the flight deck are an experienced navigator and a flight engineer. Just before 11 that evening, Bashkirian Airlines Flight 2937 leaves Moscow. The plane is a Tupolev 154. Like most modern aircraft, it carries collision avoidance equipment called TCAS, or Traffic Collision Avoidance System.
Descend, descend, descend.
TCAS works because all commercial aircraft carry a transponder, which sends a constant stream of radio signals identifying them and saying where they are. TCAS listens in and calculates whether any of the planes is on a collision course. If they are, it will tell the pilot what action to take to avoid collision.
Descend.
If air traffic control should ever let them down, TCAS will be their last line of defense.
Clear of conflict.
Hundreds of miles away in Bergamo, Italy, a Boeing 757 is getting underway. It's flying for DHL, the international freight company, and is heading for their European base at Brussels in Belgium. The Russian Tupolev will cross its path over southern Germany. The Boeing has only 2 people aboard, Captain Paul Phillips, who's British, and First Officer Brant Campioni, who's Canadian, and due to fly the next leg of the journey. The DHL takes off at 6 minutes past 11, on what will be its last journey. At the SkyGuide Area Control Center in Zurich, Switzerland. The busy day shift has ended, and the night shift is reporting for work. Peter Nielsen is an experienced controller. He's been doing this job for 8 years. The center regulates air traffic in southern Germany as well as northern Switzerland. Tonight, there are only 2 controllers on duty. But the traffic in their sector is light, and Nielsen's colleague decides to take a lengthy break, a common practice at SkyGuide. Peter Nielsen is now responsible for all air traffic on 2 radar screens, which sit several feet apart. At 10 past 11, 2 technicians arrive. They inform Peter that SkyGuide management has authorized them to carry out maintenance work on the main radar. While they do so, the screens will work much more slowly, and will give no visual 2-minute warning if planes are getting too close to each other.
Thai Inter 933, route transit in Alloy. Bavarian 350, descend flight level 270.
The engineers now tell Peter Nielsen they have to shut down the telephone system as well. They switch over to the standby phones. No one realizes it yet, but the seeds of disaster have been sown. The Russian plane, filled with schoolchildren, is now over central Germany and flying towards Switzerland. Captain Grigoriev gets final clearance from the last German control center before they cross south into Switzerland.
128.05, Bravo Tango Charlie 2937. Goodbye.
The German controller hands over the Russian plane to SkyGuide, where Peter Nielsen is at the helm. Meanwhile, the DHL plane is climbing north over the Alps and is now entering Swiss airspace.
Zurich, radar, good evening. Dilmun 611, I'm climbing flight level 260, direct OBC.
Captain Paul Phillips of the DHL requests clearance to climb to a higher altitude. The thinner air there will mean less air resistance and save fuel.
Roger, climb flight level 320. Direct Tango Golf Oscar and requesting
360, thanks, if it's available.
Tillman 611, climb flight level 360.
The DHL reaches flight level 360, or 36,000 feet, the same altitude as the Russian plane, and they're on a collision course, but they're many miles apart. So far, no danger. Now the assistant gives Peter Nielsen a new flight strip. An Airbus Aero Lloyd Flight 1135 is flying to the airport of Friedrichshafen nearby. It's going to increase Peter's workload dramatically over the next 5 minutes and have him switching from one screen to another. Peter tries to dial the airport control tower at Friedrichshafen to discuss handing over the Aero Lloyd flight to them, but the line is dead. He tries a second time. The phones aren't working. The Aero Lloyd pilot is trying to make contact with Peter. He has to leave the Russian pilots unattended. But the Russian pilot is also calling him on the other screen.
Aero Lloyd 1135, roger. Call you back. Station calling. Say again, please.
Zurich, good evening. Bravo Tango Charlie, 2937.
Level 360.
Bravo Tango Charlie 2937, squad 7520.
The Aero Lloyd is calling again.
Yeah, expect so. Call you back shortly.
Now another plane needs him. A Thai Airways flight heading north.
Thai Inter 933. Contact now on Munich 132.140. Goodbye.
140 Thai 9.
Air traffic controllers are used to handling tricky situations. But tonight, Peter's equipment isn't working properly, and he's controlling 2 screens at the same time. Normally, his radar would warn of any impending collision. What he doesn't know is that tonight, it's out of action.
Correct. What is your present heading?
Present heading is 265.
Roger. Right turn, heading 280, vector ILS 24.
Right heading 2804, to expect ILS 24, Aero Lloyd 1.
Peter wants to get this Aero Lloyd flight off his hands. He tries dialing the public number for the Friedrichshafen control tower for the 3rd time.
Bitte überprüfen Sie die Rufnummer. Die gewünschte Verbindung.
Meanwhile, the Russian airliner and the DHL plane are still heading towards each other at a closing speed of over 800 miles per hour. Neither crew is aware that they're only 2.5 minutes apart. The DHL plane is now approaching the Swiss border with Germany. The Russian Tupolev is heading for exactly the same spot and at the same altitude. Finally, someone at another air traffic control center in Germany spots the danger.
Conflict.
He grabs the phone to warn Nielsen, but can't get through. International air traffic rules prevent him from talking to the pilots directly.
Look at that.
Now, for the first time, the Russian pilots can see the DHL plane on the screen of their TCAS anti-collision computer. But Peter Nielsen is still focused on getting the Aero Lloyd flight safely down.
Aero Lloyd 1135.
Aero Lloyd 1135, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I lost my connection to Friedrichshafen Airport. Could you please call them on your second set, 124.35. Tell them you're coming in ILS 24 with 20 miles now?
Okay, will do.
Thank you.
Okay, taking over.
On the DHL cargo plane, the crew is relaxed. They don't know they're on a collision course. Their TCAS hasn't sounded a warning yet.
Stuff I can get you.
The first officer goes to the washroom. On the Russian plane, the pilots are getting concerned. The other plane is getting closer and closer, but they're not exactly sure whether he's on the same altitude as them.
He's going below us. Why below?
500. No, 100 meters.
Traffic.
Now fucking traffic.
Why?
Traffic.
TCAS, the collision avoidance computer, is warning the Russian pilots that the other plane is getting too close for comfort. At the same moment, the TCAS in the DHL cockpit detects the Russian plane.
Descend. Descend.
Peter Nielsen finally realizes what's happening.
Bravo Tango Charlie 2937, descend flight level 350. Expedite, I have crossing traffic.
Descend.
Captain Gross disengages the autopilot and starts to descend.
Climb. Climb.
TCAS is telling them to climb. The controller is telling them to descend.
It says climb.
He is guiding us down.
Bravo Tango Charlie 2937, descend level 350. Expedite descent.
Expedite descent level 350. Bravo Tango Charlie 2937.
Peter Nielsen thinks he's averted a collision by telling the Russian plane to descend. But what he doesn't know is that the DHL pilots have received a TCAS instruction telling them to descend.
Increase! Doom 600, TCAS descent!
They're trying to tell Nielsen that they have a TCAS instruction to descend, but Peter can't hear them. If both planes obeyed TCAS, there'd be no problem. But the Russians, instead of climbing, have followed the controller's orders. Now both planes are diving towards each other.
He's going below us!
Fuck, where is it?
Here on the left!
Increase. Climb. Increase. Climb.
Climb, it says! Climb! Descend! Fuck, descend hard!
The tail of the DHL clips the belly of the Tupolev, tearing it apart. The pilots soon lose consciousness. The DHL struggles on for another 2 minutes. It will crash 4 miles away.
Can we go over to 337?
Affirm. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Peter is unaware of what just happened.
Bravo Tango Charlie 2937. Bravo Tango Charlie 2937. Bravo Tango Charlie.
This is the nightmare that every controller hopes will not happen to him. 2 of his aircraft colliding, killing scores of people.
Oh!
Peter Nielsen leaves the control room for the last time, but his story is far from over. The wreckage of the 2 planes has fallen just outside the small city of Überlingen on the German-Swiss border. Wreckage is scattered over 130 square miles. It's the worst mid-air collision in German post-war history. Debris comes raining down around a school for handicapped children run by Bruno and Stella Wegmüller.
The sky was orange, red, flaming, and we saw these pieces falling down and detonations again and again, and we realized it couldn't have been a normal thunderstorm. It was something we had never heard and seen before.
It was incredible because there are many houses here, and there was nothing on this place. But around our school, we find the bodies, children,
soon also realized that we couldn't do anything really. We couldn't save anyone, we couldn't help anyone. Today, actually, some people still suffer and see the pictures and have to learn to deal with these pictures. And for other people, it is like a bad dream.
The problem was that the bodies and debris were dispersed over a very, very wide area, approximately 40 square kilometers. A corridor 20 kilometers long and 2 kilometers wide.
It was the largest police operation in the province of Baden-Württemberg, lasting a week and involving over 6,000 people searching for the bodies.
The people were all very sad. They were all in a state of extreme shock, and naturally the rescue team could feel that and empathized with their suffering.
The policeman is standing where the DHL crashed.
Here you see no more trees. The trees have completely burned down. We assume that the turbines of the Boeing separated first, approximately 700 to 800 meters high before this plane crashed. One landed 300 meters that way, and the other turbine was another 500 meters that way.
In this garden lay many of the bodies of the children of Ufa.
In this part died 28 children. In this field, there was a child. More over here, in this field, there was a
When they showed a close-up of an airplane, I saw an emblem of our Bashkir Airlines on the rear of the aircraft. I was in the kitchen. Everybody was still asleep. I nearly fainted. I leaned to the table. I didn't know what to do.
The Hananov family lost their only daughter. Irina Degtyaryeva lost her only child.
We hoped for some kind of a miracle, that he missed the plane. In a word, we didn't want to believe in this news. It was like thunder in a clear sky, and God forbid anyone gets news like this.
Vitaly Khaloyev, the Russian architect, was awaiting his family in Barcelona. He's one of the first to arrive in Überlingen. Although the relatives are not encouraged to participate in the search, Vitaly cannot help himself. It as his 4-year-old daughter's.
My angel.
Amazingly, amidst all the carnage, Vitaly finds his daughter's body intact.
Suffer at all.
The mutilated bodies of his wife and son won't be found until later. Over 6 days of searching, the rescue workers gather bodies and body parts scattered all over the southern German countryside.
By Thursday of that week, 2 days later, the relatives started arriving. They could not all see the bodies we'd found because most of the bodies were badly charred or mutilated. We didn't permit the relatives to view the bodies in that condition.
Zurich Air Traffic Control Center, capacity is reduced for lack of available controllers. Peter Nielsen never again worked on an air traffic workstation.
If you go through something like that, you're not able to come back. It's too deep in, and it's too big.
From an emotional point of view, of course, it was shattering. It was for me really, really terrible. Terrible in the sense that it happened to one of my colleagues, it happened to our profession, but it also happened to families who lost their children.
The hunt begins for a scapegoat. If two planes collide in empty skies, someone must be to blame. At first, some suspect the Russians.
The pilot of the Russian plane is said to have ignored repeated instructions from air traffic controllers. And while the Russian pilot...
They contacted the Russian pilot and asked him to change altitude because he was flying at a level where he should not have been. Now, the Russian pilot never responded to those warnings from air traffic control.
The Russian pilots, particularly in Soviet times, and also now, but to a lesser extent, were extremely well trained. I have no concerns about the training of pilots. They've been trained for almost every operational possibility that could happen.
Why did the TCAS device meant to avoid collisions, in this case maybe help cause one? And why didn't the Russian plane descend when first ordered? A language problem? Controller commands are always in English.
I knew everybody from that crew. Everybody knew English enough to speak its controller.
So who is to blame? The media spotlight now falls on controller Peter Nielsen. He was the man who'd guided the two planes towards each other. They were under his control. He must have caused them to collide.
I was as shocked as I could have been with any other name or any other colleague. I was just very sorry for him. The media coverage about the incident very often makes you angry because these statements are taken out of context. You really get the impression they just want to fill the newspaper. They write whatever they get. They go after colleagues. They give them a call at home. They follow you wherever you are.
You don't deserve to be the boogeyman for everybody, and that's something which really is still very difficult to accept, that suddenly we are some sort having to take the blame because the others are dead or the others are hiding behind politics, rules and things like this.
We started to leave this building by the underground exit, which leads through another building, just not to see anybody. They were asking people on the street in Cloten, people who were not involved at all, just to broadcast something in the evening, and that makes you angry. You cannot resist it.
And what more do we know about this Swiss controller at the center of the investigation?
He was chased by the media. He was accused of being a murderer.
He's the man obviously everyone wants to talk to, but at the moment the Swiss say he's in no position to talk, and we heard today that the Swiss authorities have opened an investigation to see whether there's enough evidence for charges of manslaughter.
The accusation was manslaughter by negligence in 71 cases, and the speciality is that in this case the investigating judge has been working on a investigation on his own, independently from what the Aviation Investigation Board of Germany did.
Meanwhile, that investigation is underway, headed by Germany's air crash detectives, the BFU. By the fifth day, they've read all the black boxes.
So this is a typical voice recorder, which was built into the Tupolev 154. It shows two reels. The recording time of this recorder is 30 minutes. It was rather solid, but the original voice recorder of the Tupolev was heavily damaged. So we had to remove the tape and replay it on such a specialized tape recorder.
This is the hangar where wreckage of the planes was examined.
This one here is the lower surface of the right wing of the Tupolev, and that remaining stub here went below the Tupolev and caused these scratches. That top part of the vertical tail remained at the accident site on the main wreckage of the Boeing.
But could this accident have been avoided? TCAS normally has a safeguard mechanism called a reversal. If an alert is issued and one aircraft crew ignores an instruction, TCAS orders a reversal. If the TCAS on aircraft A senses that aircraft B is still on a collision course, it will tell it to go in another direction. But it didn't. Why?
One of the major requirements for that is that both planes have to be at least 100 feet apart in altitude. But this requirement was not met at the time. That's why no reversal was given.
When the DHL's TCAS saw that the Tupolev wasn't climbing, it could only tell its pilots to descend even faster.
Increase descent.
If the reversal had been possible, the children of Ufa might have lived. July 2003. Many parents returned to Überlingen in Germany for the first anniversary. The Germans built a memorial on the site of the tragedy. It's made up of a series of giant silver pearls on a broken necklace. The head of Skyguide is among the crowd.
Can you tell us, what are the mistakes you made?
I don't think this is the time to talk about it. I'm sure you'll understand.
Have you apologized?
Okay. Thank you.
Among the parents is Vitaly Kaloyev. He asks the head of Skyguide which controller was responsible for the accident, but receives no answer.
Yes, in fact, the man asked if it is possible to meet the controller, to meet Peter, and the answer was it is not possible.
The request passes almost unnoticed, but Vitaly Kaloyev is not satisfied.